I want to say this, and this is to everybody, every single person that's watching this right now, whether you're watching it live or on replay, we all got to do our part. Everybody. And the problem is that we have is that nobody wants to take responsibility, right? Nobody wants to take responsibility. Everybody wants to put on everybody else until it hits you in your house, until it comes to your front porch. And so this is what I want to talk about, man. I'm gonna just straight up say this because I'm on the front lines with this. Like, for you guys that don't know, like, I volunteer my time for free to go back to high schools and talk to these kids, right? I just got back from India. I talked to kids. I'm going to Vegas this week. I'm going to a high school to talk to kids. I don't do that for brownie points. I don't do that so people can pat me on the back. I do that because these kids are lost. And I want to say this, man, like, I know a lot of us, we complain about this generation. I don't expect people to stay on this live because some people don't take it like a little bit too to heart and they're going to get off of here. But I just ask that you get past your feelings and look at the facts. But I know a lot of us, we complain about this generation. This generation is lost. But let me tell you something. First of all, this generation is the hardest generation to grow up in. But I'm going to tell you why. This generation is lost because we got a lot of lost parents. And I'm just speaking facts. We got a lot of lost people, and lost people are trying to lead people, which end up being lost. We have no leaders. We have no examples. Right? The music is failing these kids. The school system is failing these kids. I'm not talking about the teachers because the school system is failing the teachers too. Right? Parents are failing these kids. Social media is failing these kids. We, as a collective, we are failing these kids. You know how much it hurts my heart when I go speak to these kids and they pull me to the side with tears in their eyes? And I'm getting passionate about this because I'm probably waking up my neighbors. With tears in their eyes, they come to me and they say, Trent, man, I'm so glad you came here because I never had somebody in my life tell me that I can be something. I never had somebody believe in my dreams. All I had was people that shoot down my dreams, tell me it's not possible, never support me, anything like that. But these kids with tears in their eyes, and we wonder why these kids turn into the streets. We wonder why these kids are going to social media doing everything else because that's where they get some type of significance from. Even if it's the wrong significance, they get that type of significance because they ain't getting it from their household. And I'm not saying like if the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. But I'm out here speaking to these kids every single day. These kids is lost. These kids don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. That's why they're acting out. That's why crime rates. That's a kid in my city just got killed. A kid that had a bright future just got killed by gun violence. You know why? Because the streets is lying to them. Yeah, all the OGs out there that's still 40, 50 years old, selling dope, still carrying around pistols and acting hard, that ain't gangster. Ain't none of that gangster. Gangster is raising your kids. Gangster is setting up your kids for success. Gangsters making sure your kids are good, making sure they got the right credit. That's gangster. Taking care of your responsibilities, giving back to your community. That's gangster. We got to change the narrative of this, man, period. Or else, guess what? These things are going to keep on happening. And we're going to act surprised. I'm not surprised because the school system ain't teaching no mental health. The school system ain't teaching conflict resolution. The school system is outdated. The school system ain't telling people how to deal with social media, how to deal with depression, how to deal with anxiety, understanding their self-worth. And we expect kids to just be able to deal with this when adults, we can't even deal with it. And that's the world that we live in. A lot of these parents, man, we so wrapped up into our own wants, into our own stuff, that we don't even realize what our kids need. A lot of us parents, we so wrapped up into the cell phone that we don't even realize what our kids need. We ain't paying attention to our kids. I go out to these events. I coach football. I rarely see men there. I see a whole bunch of women there. Yeah. And even that, sometimes I don't even see any parents there that's supporting their kids. The kids look up in the stands, they ain't got no support. And if they do got support, half of the parents acting ignorant. And then we live in a generation where we expect teachers at school to raise our kids. We expect teachers at school to do this and that. As soon as the teacher holds your kid accountable, you come up to the school acting a fool. And you disrespect authority, and that gives the permission to your kids to disrespect authority too. We are living in a lost generation. Now I'm gonna tell you what's gonna keep on happening. These kids gonna keep dying through gun violence. These kids gonna keep being on drugs. These kids gonna keep dealing with mental health, depression, all of these things. Because as adults, we ain't doing our part. We ain't doing our part. When's the last time you pulled a kid to the side that wasn't even your family? When's the last time you pulled a kid to the side and just had a conversation with a kid? A lot of these kids, man, they got dreams, they got ambitions, but you know what? They don't believe it's possible. So when I pull up on these kids, and not just me, I'm sure it's a lot of people doing great things for the community. But when I pull up on these kids, they see an example. They see an example of a person that's not just a football player, that's not just an entertainer, that's not just a rapper, especially in my community where I come from. That's what they put you in the box as, oh, you only can be a rapper or a football player or a basketball player. Right? You sitting in first class, they automatically ask you what team that you play for. But these kids see me, and I tell these kids, you know, I pulled up at a school in Indy. I asked these kids, I said, man, how many of y'all want to be an author? Nobody raised their hand. I said, how many of y'all want to be a speaker? Nobody raised their hand. I said, what if I told you they'll pay you to write a book? What if I told you they'll pay you to go speak? What if I told you you can make a living off of your life? What if I told you with social media, instead of using it to worsen your life, instead of using it as a bad tool, you can use it as a life-changing tool? And they got to see the example in me. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of these kids, I know people don't get off because people don't want to do their part. And that's why America, that's why this world is so messed up, because everybody worried about their own crap. That's it. Everybody worried about their own stuff. Ain't nobody really helping nobody. Ain't nobody stepping outside themselves. Only time people want to help somebody is when, let me slow down, man. The only time when people want to help somebody is when it benefits them.